There we go. We're live. It's James speaking, 7:01, so I'm a minute behind. I want to talk about the 6 layers of my campus or my AI operating system that I've been building. And the reason I'm doing that is because there are so many changes happening in this whole AI space. One of the things that I've really run into is that the um, the stuff that's happening from all of the major large language models like ChatGPT, like Claude, like Gemini, that I think is going to come when they do the developers conference in April this month. But even the stuff that was kind of leaked a couple hours ago by Anthropic and what's coming with Claude is this whole idea of being able to interface with an operating system. And that operating system is, in fact, AI. So we've got a situation now where I'm thinking about this over the next couple months, and I'm kind of wondering, figuring out where do we fit into this? How do we leverage AI? And I did a whole bunch of work over the last 2 weeks putting together my own AI operating system for my business. And when I say I put it together, I didn't do it myself. Basically, I used Claude to build it with and for me. But it's kind of the system that I came up with. And from what I've seen from the announcements today, the stuff that's going to be leaked, I'm really, really comfortable with what we built, and I'm going to show you the 6 pieces that I put together. And I have all the documentation on that. In fact, I have 4 courses that go over these pieces. And I say courses; they're different than traditional courses, and I'll show one to you a little bit later. But it goes over setting up your own AI operating system. And the gist that I'm getting from the research that I'm doing and then the signal of what's coming in 2026 is all about being able to, for us as a business owner, to be able to interface with an agent and have that one agent kind of do work or orchestrate work of multiple agents. And the idea that I've always been thinking of is to make it simple, is to not really talk about agents. And as much as there's agent skills and plugins and all of this technical stuff, I just look at it from my perspective of what is traditionally called an AI skill or an agent skill. I look at as an employee. And that employee is in something called a department or a category of um, tasks that it does. And then I've built out my one agent, which is Dean, which orchestrates everything. And he is basically the person that I talk to. And the thing that's kind of cool that I'm seeing, and again, just start thinking a little bit differently than if you're learning about AI stuff or you're just trying to figure it all out. Just think a little bit differently about how we're interfacing with all of this chat. Like last year, it was about learning to prompts, and then we got standalone skills and things. And where I see it going, and it's already started, is the programming language is verbal. It's the English language. That is how we're going to be interfacing with all of these agents. So the question becomes, how do I set up my one agent business that will get all of the tasks done and have that happen? So I put together some information that's here. And again, it's in the course. And I'll tell you the difference with the courses just because I get a lot of pushback on the whole idea of courses because technically I'm against them. But the material that you'll see that I'll show you here are skills gated courses. And what that means is that what used to be a content lesson is actually you interfacing with a skill and or Claude, uh, building out an employee or building out part of your business. So it's not, a talking head video or a slide deck. It's actually you as the student interacting with Claude or the large language model, one that you prefer. Right now, it's only Claude, even though skills have actually been accepted as a universal standard across the other large language model tools. So I'm going to go through the 6 pieces of that, and then we'll take a look at how it works and how it protects, I think, and this is the part for me, how it protects you if you're a teacher, an educator, and you're wondering about how can I protect my proprietary content, or what we usually thought of before. It's like, I got this really cool course, no one else has it, so I want to protect it so no one can steal that. I don't think you can do that anymore. However, However, if you have the campus model that I'm working with right now, you're going to see that there is something defensible at the end of it. And that's basically what we're setting up here, at least what I'm setting up in this model. So here's kind of the screen we'll work from. And again, this is completely, I'm doing this live. These are kind of ad hoc sessions, putting stuff together as quickly as I can to try and adapt or change it. And I'm going to show this to you and just recognize this is the way that I came up with it when I was talking to Claude. There's no perfect way to do it. When you see what's happening here, it doesn't mean that this is the only way to do it. Those courses or those gated courses will guide you to go through the exact same process that I did. But in the big picture of things, this is kind of what it is. So, I look at educational campuses or communities that teach. I'm calling it a campus AI operating system. You can call it whatever you want, but just understand that it is an agent-based system. And I'm saying you can get by with one agent if you set something up with these 6 kind of steps. So I designed it for running an education business, and I want like one agent and all of these employees, think skills, as people that work for me. And I'll add whatever skills that I need or whatever employees I need to get workflows done that relate to running the campus. So, it's a unique way, I think, of looking at it instead of going, oh, I need to have something technical like a skills file and what's an agent and all of those pieces that can get confusing. So just the way I think of it is I've got some employees and I've got one boss that I talk to who has all these employees in different categories or departments. And those employees, what I do is I've given them memory so that they know what they've done and they know what they're supposed to do. And I've got these departments or categories so that they know who the other employees are when they're performing tasks that they've been given to do, or a group of employees have been asked to be able to do things. So they know exactly about my business. They have a memory of my business. They sound like me and my brand, and they get better each and every system. So these are kind of the pieces that are here, and I'll show you that, these are kind of explainers. And I think this is the one I wanted to cover today, which is the AI blueprint that I'm calling it. And this is the structure, the 6 kind of layers that if you're going to have this kind of business, you're going to see that you're going to need these particular pieces or layers on it. And it really becomes the business operating system. In my case, not a personal one. I'm looking at it from a business. You can apply the same thing if you want to your personal life, but I'm looking at it from the campus, the community, the business, where I'm trying to save time or generate more revenue or cut costs. So I'm looking at it, what are the workflows? Who are the employees that I need to get these kind of tasks done? And how can I do it more efficiently? And in fact, farm out the stuff that is supposed to be farmed out to digital or AI employees and keep doing the stuff or being in control of what gets done by those staff members. So there's 6 pieces, and they go from promised outcome to a business engine. So that's the foundation, is the promised income, and the business engine is at the top. And this is platform agnostic. So I use a suite or a stack of tools. This is set up so that you don't have to use the same one as me. I'll show you the ones I use and tell you a little bit about why I use them, but it's not, again, the only way to do it. The 6 steps you'll end up doing, but the tools that you use aren't necessarily the ones that I'm going to show. So I'm just going to open this up now. And again, this presentation that you're kind of seeing, you have to remember, just as an example, this was done by Claude after I built the system, and I said, I want you to create 6 HTML pages that explain each of the 6 pieces. So this entire website / page with my branding and my colors, my fonts, and everything that was set up just in building out my AI agent operating system is being explained here specifically by the tool that actually created it. So here's kind of the pieces that go. So there's 6 layers, and I want to just kind of talk on the first one here, which is the promised outcome. And I think this is the big one that a lot of people struggle with at the start. I have, for example, in the trainingsites.io community, which is free to join if you haven't already, I did a poll recently, and 50% of the people that are in the community are just trying to come up with ideas on how to use all of this AI stuff. And in as much as that that's almost, it's frustrating because it's not frustrating. It's just I totally understand why it happens, but once you kind of find something that is an outcome that you can promise, the thing that that I got excited about is that I can do that now with AI and AI operating system and not have to do it manually or by spending time to get other real people to do it. But understanding that outcome or what it is that you actually want to build for a business, that is still absolutely the foundation, and you've got to be able to find that stuff out. And with all of the tools that come out, all of the AI news that comes out, like just today, there was the leak by Anthropic, the people at Claude, and there was 4 huge announcements. I think there's 30 announcements they've done in the last 4 weeks or 3 weeks. Like, how can you keep up with that? So, what is it that you're good at? Where's your experience? And what is it that you're actually promising people? What is it that they come and join your community, they come and get involved with you, they come and learn from you? What is it that you're going to actually provide to people? Some kind of private or public outcome that you're working with, or you're going to say, hey, get involved here. This is going to be able to happen. Now, the reason that you need to do that at the foundation is, what are you building? Who's it for? What does success look like? And what happens from this, and the reason you do this is because any of the AI operating system that you create is going to need, in my case, I have 6 key files. And this is the part that I show in those skills gated courses I was talking about. And I'll show a little bit in a second, but what happens is when you're using Claude, you have to work either in a project and or a folder. And when I think of a project or a folder, I look at it, in my case, I have a folder called Training Sites. That is my business folder. So everything that has to do with my business is in this one folder, and I have it directly here on my local desktop. But it is one folder, and that is a standalone business. It's not a project for marketing here is in one folder. It's not a development folders over here. It's not, another one that has something to do with your business. It's here for research. I have one folder, and everything is in that folder. And the reason number one is important is because when you have this structure set up, you allow everything in that folder to have context about the work that's being done in that folder. And the example that I have, and I can show you these later, but if you take a look at these ones here, try and make it a little bit bigger. There's just some examples. Is in that main folder, I have, I'll show you the folder shortly. I have a couple files. The important ones are Claude.md, and these are the ones that Claude uses specifically. And I use Claude on the desktop, and I use Claude Cowork and Claude Code. We can talk about those in another video, but this Claude.md file, the one that is important, is the one that gives Claude, every time you work in that folder, that's the one that gives it all of the instructions that it should follow when it's working in that folder. And some of the things that I've done to lessen the load, because I've got a business, you can't just put it into one file. You need to be able to spread it out a bit and be able to identify some of the things in that promised outcome. What are you building toward? Who's it for? What does success look like? There's 3 plain ones to get started here. I actually put 6 in. There's a reason for them, and I'll mention the 6 right now, but just to give you an idea, we've got the Claude.md file, the ICP.md file, and the mission.md file. And if you're not familiar, .md file is just a text file, just like a .txt, but .md is a format that is a file type that has a little extra formatting for it. And that is the language that all of these AI tools read instructions in, as a .md file. So I have a Claude.md file. I have this one here, which is an ideal customer profile. And I have a mission one .md. I have another one for settings that I can show you a little bit later. And there's a couple other ones, but I just wanted to kind of get to the point here that the mission is like the handbook for the employees, right? Or for my business. This is the way that we talk about things. Like a brand MD is another one there. It's like the fonts, the styles, the authenticity level, the reading level, or the way that things are presented is in a brand file. We have one for the ideal customer profile. So we know, for example, who's our target market? What are the pain problems and stuff they run into? What are the things they care about? What are the things they don't care about? How do you persuade and influence them? What type of language do you use? But you have an ideal customer profile .md. The mission one, again, like this is all part of that handbook for your employees so that every time that they run or do work for you, they know or have a context that is identical every single time that you work in that folder. Now, if you don't have a folder and if you don't have these particular files, what happens is if you go to a marketing folder and you start doing marketing work in that folder, and then you go over and you're doing a research over here, you're going to end up having to explain in each folder what's going on and what are you working on. And well, you didn't tell me that about your business, or you didn't tell me that about your customers. Explain it again. So you just end up with everything spread across different folders. When you have it and it knows, when I go and I start up and I'm in this folder, I want you to read this Claude.md file that gives me instructions. And you also let me know what are the other kind of things about the context in your business that I should remember when I'm interacting with you. So I have one for offers, so it knows what I'm selling. I have the brand one, the mission one, the ICP. I also have another one for settings, which is all about the tools and connectors that we give the employees. But these ones are just it's just a way for your employees to know exactly what they're doing and why they're doing things and who it's for. So, make sure that you get some context for your AI operating system. You want to make sure that it's consistent, always being updated and looked at. And that's the other cool thing here is like when I'm playing around with these, um, I'm used to like write a file once and kind of forget about it. When you're building an operating system or when you are running a business, it's not like you look at it the day you start or the week before you start, decide on it, and then it stays the same. This folder and these instructions are a living document that you interact with on a regular basis with your AI operating system, and you talk to it about the things that are here. Should I update it? Is this accurate? What are the things that need to be changed? So this is an iterative process of keeping track of your operating system, but it's still with that promised outcome for yourself, your business, and knowing that the AI tools actually do it. So I'll show you a little bit of that after in a folder just so you can kind of see where it is. The second one here is a community platform. And the reason I want to show you that one is I've been, again, this is me personally, but in the education space, I've been through selling digital products, selling courses, selling membership sites, and where I see things going based on all of the changes that have been happening with the ability to create content by the people that we used to sell content by can create the exact same stuff as us. I believe that if you're in that educational space, you have to have a platform that you can have a community built on. And that community platform is a place where people gather, people share experiences about a particular topic, and where you can curate content that is of value to the people in your community. So there's user-generated content that hopefully happens in the community. There's educational content that actually gets created there. And then there's additional data or inputs that you have. The bottom line is that you have a complete data set around your topic in your area of expertise. And I think, the one thing that I run into is a lot of times that used to be that, that community platform used to be a membership site, or some people are going, yeah, I have a learning management software and I'm selling courses. That is not a community platform. Course content is not a community platform. A discussion forum is not a community platform. You need an actual ecosystem, or what I'm calling a campus, to be able to either encapsulate all of this. And if you're going to do it the way that I do it all within the WordPress content management software, or you need to be able to have all of the pieces of a campus, pardon me, but connected with external services. But the bottom of the line, you need to have a place where the content is, where the students are, and there's live interaction with you as the instructor or instructors or teachers and the people that you're actually trying to help. It's like keeping people accountable using things like project boards, doing live interaction, whether those be challenges that happen, or live Zoom calls, or live classes, or sprints, or workshops. It's not a content dump, that community. It's a repository for curated content, but it's also the place where the students show up because there's other students there. And they're all working towards whatever that promised outcome is at the bottom. And in my case, I use one called Fluent Community, and it works on WordPress, and it is a WordPress plugin. The thing that's kind of interesting with it is, even though they call it a plugin, technically underneath the hood, it is an application that runs on or in WordPress, and that WordPress is just being used as a content management software. And that's actually what Fluent Community does under the hood. It's not like a plugin that used to just work with the WordPress tools. It's actually creating its whole kind of additional data set directly within WordPress. So there's some life to it, other than if WordPress changes or plugins change, it's not connected to or dependent on a lot of the other tools that maybe you might have had to use in the past. So I use that one. I use Fluent Community, and that community part is one that I host, and I own the data. It's on my servers, my community, my servers, my content. There's other ways of doing it. Some people may use a community plugin like Circle or Service. You might use something like School to do more of the live classes and the calendar of events, and maybe some courses that they have there. So there's different ways of doing it, but you still need some place for everyone to gather and start hopefully interacting with people. And your job, of course, is to get people engaged. And the big thing here is when you look at it this way, it's not a question of buying ads to get a download to sell an ebook. It's like, how do I build my community? Because when you have a community, you have people's email address and you have their interest in a particular topic. It's your job to get that interest excited, or at least get them moving in the right direction. Some people leave, some people don't say anything, some people are active. That's okay. But if they actually interact with the content and try and give feedback, that's where you can start getting value in your community platform. Here's the other one here. The third piece is to have a AI accessible content library. And this is the one I really didn't understand at the start. And this one I think is going to be so cool. And it was actually, something came out. I'll tell you just one of the things that came out, I think it was in January, February. And this is the one that I was kind of excited about, but didn't really understand till recently. There is a thing, Google came out with this thing called WebMCP. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but MCP is just like a USB connector for AI tools like Claude and Gemini and ChatGPT. It's just a way for those tools to connect to external content. For example, connect to your Circle installation with a community, or connect to the Notion database, or connect to your Gmail account, or update stuff on your Stripe account to find out who bought something or invoice something. So there's just this thing called MCP. Google came out with this thing called Web MCP, and I really didn't understand too much about it until I asked Claude about it. And it was just saying this is a way for agents to connect to content. And it's a generic way of Google saying there's going to be more traffic from agents trying to get access to data within a website, for example, and you need to have a format that agents can understand and pull from your website. So think of it as a connector back to your data. So I've got all of this content about a particular topic in a community platform, and what I'm doing is I'm creating content, tutorials, creating resources, documentation, and what I'm doing is I'm doing it so it is indexed and retrievable by AI agents. And this is the important part if you're in, I think, the education space, because the value of what you're doing when you're teaching is not what prompts you know. It's not necessarily what classes that you do, although that's really, really important. I think you can monetize it. I think the long-term value of this is being able to have your proprietary library of content and experience is the part that is going to be sold. And the way that we're going to sell it is being able to make that content available to other people and or other AI tools. So capturing, curating, organizing it, but making sure that it's completely available to all of the AI tools. So it's not just who registered for your site or who logged into your site. If you have a robust data set of experiences from real people and curated content or user generated content, you can now sell or make available that content to any agent, anywhere, at any time. But if you don't have it and it's not accessible, then you're in some really, really deep trouble. Okay, so I have a complete system on how I actually did that here in the operating system. And remember, these are things about an AI operating system. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, great, I need to have this set up in my campus. This is a operating system. It's not me going, oh, I have to learn how to use this tool, or I have to learn how to do this type of prompting, or I have to be able to learn how to use this skill. This is a system that's set up that allows an agent. That's the point I'm getting to. It allows one verbal interaction with an agent that is built on top of all of this. So we have those first three pieces here. The fourth one, and this is the part that I'll just, actually, I didn't mention this and I will. So this one says an AI accessible content library. You'll see on the right-hand side, I've got Better Docs, Pinecone, and WordPress. The way that I have mine set up is I have content management software, which happens to be WordPress. And I have, this one is a FAQ or knowledge base that we're using right now. This is one that is part of WordPress or is part of the WordPress plugin system. It's called Better Docs, which is basically building document libraries and FAQs. And I have this one here called Pinecone, and there's another one called Supabase, which we cover in a couple of the other ones, but those are external databases that index my entire campus or community. So anytime something goes into my community library, my campus library, it is available externally because it is in a Pinecone vector database or a Supabase vector database. And those vector databases are just that data that when AI asks or wants access to something in the site, it goes to the database, not necessarily to the site. So those are the kind of the pieces there. So I've got my context level at the bottom where my mouse is kind of moving back and forth. I have the platform level, which is the tools that I use to build the community. And then I have the content library that is in the piece. Those are the three kind of pieces that fit in place here. So we got these four. What's the fourth piece? Here's the other one that I'm super excited about, and that one is number 4, which is all about the learning experiences. Now, and if you've been following me for a while on the channel here, I've always been a big kind of proponent on what I think is happening, and that is that the value of teaching and education is now back into uh, I call them flipped cohorts or live workshops or sprints where you're actually working with and on the tools or the use cases that people have. So these learning experiences, whether they be live and in person, or maybe it's a Zoom call or a Google Meet call or a phone call, but any of these interactions, those are the ones that we work with or leverage to not only build content, but actually put together structured learning where people actually get involved in real stuff. And, live classes, cohorts, courses, if they're, and again, this is my thing on courses. I hate the word courses, but it's like a skills gated course where the course gets created actually by the person doing things. It's just like, here's what you do, let's do it. It's the actual interface of actually doing something with an agent and or an agent skill or a built-in AI coach or yourself, but it's just actually that interaction. And those learning experiences are the things that you can monetize. In fact, that's what I charge for personally. I don't necessarily sell for the content. I give away content for free, but anytime there's a live interaction, those are the ones that I try and monetize. And there's a lot of value there because you can charge more for your time now than you certainly can for the content that you can generate and the content that the same person you're trying to sell the content to. So, that I think, that availability of a human to talk to, huge value in that. And again, this has nothing to do with prompting. This has nothing to do with what's the best tool to use. This is a foundation for the operating system. And you're going to need these things if you're in the teaching space. If you're doing a business that has nothing to do with education, I'm sure these 6 layers are somewhere in the piece. But as far as it goes, specifically when we're talking about, I better use this one, if we're talking about the education business, those 4 kind of pieces are the foundation on everything else. The cool one, and these are the ones that actually this one right here, number 5, this is the one that I am so super excited about because I've gotten to the point with my operating system now is that I have a library, I'm saying of skills. Think of it as a library of employees that are all really good at specific tasks. And I can have as many employees as I want. I can use the one I want when I want. I don't have to basically use, I don't have to like buy and sell them. I don't have to pay for their time. They're always available. And the best part is I can give them instructions and they're going to remember the instructions. But the cool thing is they may go, hey, there's a better way of doing this. And or I can say, look, this didn't work the way I wanted. Next time, let's do it this way. So these are permanent employees that you don't pay for and you can always improve their performance. So skills library, just think of it exactly as an employee who knows how to do something really, really, really well because you trained them on how to do it. And if you want them to do something different the next time, all you have to do is you just have to change the instructions that you've given to that particular employee. So I call it skills. Some people call it an agent or agent skills. I just think of it as an employee. That allows me to kind of think of my relationship with the actual skills or the AI tool that I'm working with. Now, when you have an AI workforce, you have all of these employees, and in many cases, the employees don't necessarily want to work together or they can't do everything at once. A lot of times I run into people that say, yeah, I have a big long automation that has a trigger and there's all of these steps that are mapped out. This was really cool. I think last year there was a big buzz around N8N and running, triggered event, and all these nested and events to get to a certain output. The cool thing here is that we're at the point now where if you have an agent operating system who knows what employees that they have, it is smart enough now to know that it needs what particular employee to do what particular part of a task. And you can build out workflows or understand workflows that you can just tell your agent operating system, this is the workflow that I want you to go through. And I did a video about that earlier. I've got a whole bunch of them now, like content repurposing, for example, is one about what used to be gated skills gated courses. I can have a workflow that goes from the idea to publishing the actual course material, creating the cheat sheets, creating the shopping cart details, creating the emails to market it, and the social media posts. So those automations and workflows are the ones that the employees are part of, but we've now got them so that they're hooked together in workflows, which is really, really exciting, because before those automations were us saying, here's a skill, do this piece, here's a skill, do that piece, and then give it to this employee and give it to this employee and so on. And the other one here is this MCP tools. Covered this a lot. I don't know if you've heard about them before, but when I look at it, I look at, skills library are my employees, and I'm looking at these automations as the workflows of my employees. In these MCP tools, these are just the things that you give the employees to basically do their work. And there's all sorts of them. I think the stat that I saw was, I think there was 97,000 MCP connectors available. I think what it was, the stat I saw earlier in the week. So that means that your employees have 97,000 different pieces of software or data sets that they have to do their job. They're just available to it when they need it, to either use another piece of software to add, edit, or delete content, or pull content, or get a tool to do something. But you've got an employee with a skill, and now you've got it with tools. So you've got employees, workflows, and tools to do the work. And that is the workflow right there. Now, the cool thing is when you look at this, what normally happened for you personally in the past? You maybe talked to each individual employee, or you had a prompt, or you generated a skill so you could be the employee and run a prompt, ask Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT to do something, but it would give you some kind of output. And then what you'd have to do is give it to the next employee or put it in a different format. That AI workforce, you can have unlimited employees, and it's not you, unless you want to be, involved in those particular workflows and the tools once this is set up. So, automations, workflows, agents that create content, members, handle operations without you doing all the work. And this is the level that we're at right now. This is available now today. So if you're going to fall behind really, really quickly over the next couple months. That's how fast it's moving. So if we think about, I got to start building my AI operating system, at least get started with one and start thinking this way. This is the part that I believe is going to be the one that's going to let you at least ride the wave and not be smothered by it. Because all of the stuff that's going to change with the tools and all of those things, what's not going to change is if you have an AI operating system that allows you have some context about what it is that you're doing. You have a platform to actually work in. You've got an accessible content library that's there, and you're able to give learning experiences to do some actual teaching to people by interacting with other humans, which is what people who are learning want to do. They want to talk to someone else. They want to see what someone else is doing. They want help in their own unique situation. So if we have that foundation and then we start thinking about our employees, as many as we want, what else do we need to do? Well, we need to have a business engine. And this is the part, again, a lot of times when I've been watching stuff about, any of the YouTube videos, I watch, I don't know, tons of YouTube videos every day, and all of them in generally the AI space. But what happens is in many cases, there's a lot of really cool things that happen, but it has nothing to do with starting or building or growing your business. A lot of times it might be personal things, which is fine, but is it something, or is there a workflow or is there something that is in an automation slash workflow? Does the employee do something that either saves me time, that is part of a workflow, or generates revenue? Being able to organize your files is cool. Being able to check your email is cool. Being able to research some stuff on its own is cool. But if you can't treat it as a business, or it doesn't fit into a workflow, the skill by itself it's just a skill. It's just someone with a tool belt on with all of these particular tools, but they have no idea what they're building. It's like if you're a carpenter and you've got 1,000 tools on the tool belt, but you have no blueprint, or you don't even know what it is you're actually supposed to be building, or why you're building it, or how it needs to be built. Doesn't matter what tool that you have. Ones that are really good at, you need to know how they fit together. What are the pieces? What are the workflows that you need to kind of think up and have it as a business engine? And here's the really exciting part for me, and this has to do with the tools, is if you have this AI workforce that you've organized, and I'll show you an example of how the one I have set up works, that has a library of skills, that has a whole bunch of workflows put together, and has access to the tools that it needs. The cool thing is, if you have this number 6 foundation, products, email marketing, affiliate programs, and upsell paths turn everything in the campus into a business. I, for example, have MCP tools that are connected to Fluent Cart, which is my shopping cart. I have MCP tools that are connected to Fluent CRM, which is my email marketing and customer relationship management tool. I have it connected to my affiliate program. I have it connected to my project management tool. I have it connected to my bookings system for live sessions. Think of something like Calendly. But all of these tools that are business related are now tied to the AI employees and my workforce. So anytime these employees are working, they're also able to access business stuff. What that means is that if someone visits the site and they interact with something on the site, next time one of these AI agent works, it can go and check Fluent CRM and find out, when did the person last log in? What have they bought? When was the time that they purchased last? Are they looking, or have they visited an area where they should get an upsell? It's connected. We can go and take a look and say, hey, they haven't booked a meeting for us in the next little while. They should go and we should do outreach on it. So this business engine on top of the workforce with learning experiences and having a content library that's available all the time, a community platform that it actually lives in, and understanding what it is that you're doing. These 6 steps are the entire piece of an AI operating system. And the question becomes at this point, okay, how do you build one? And that's some of the things that we cover at trainingsites.io, is building this out. And in fact, the cool part is with this is that I've built one. I'll show you kind of how it works in a second, but I built one with Claude. Way that I created this one is I basically said to Claude, I need to create a AI operating system for my business. This is what I'm doing. This is who I help. Let's work through how can I set it up. And these are kind of the foundational steps that we came up with based on my business. These 6 steps, I think, are the ones that everyone's going to go through, whether or not you use ones that are like Fluent Cart, or you have a set of skills that be different than my skills, or employees that are different than mine. The tools that you use might be different than mine. And if you're in the education space, I'm sure you're going to have some kind of learning experiences, hopefully live ones. You're going to have content library that is available. You need to make it available by any of the AI tools, and a platform to actually interact with people, and then some kind of promised outcome for people. And how do these turn into money? What actually happens here? So I'm suggesting, and this is what I've done, is that you build the community in the library first. So I call this my campus AI blueprint. The first thing is to start building a community site on whatever platform that works best for you. I'm using WordPress. but you need to start building that community and the library of curated content that you have. Some of that may be courses, some of it might be user-generated stuff, some of it might be PDFs that you collect or work on. It might be stuff in the discussion board of the community. It might be things, for example, like Zoom calls that you've recorded, but you've got a community and a library that's there. After that, you're going to want to set up these learning experiences, which are live events, and I'm suggesting that you charge for those ones. Give access to the community and the library. People are going to do it anyway on their own if they have to, but it would be a lot easier if they saw everyone was doing the same thing and could learn from everyone else. So make that available in the library. Start monetizing with your learning experience and then treating it with a business. And if you have this kind of framework or these layers in place, it's like you choose tools randomly. There's no set way to actually have a workflow. It's like you manually go, oh, what's my workflow today? What's my standard operating procedure? How should I do it? There's no set workflows that are able to be unworked on. The content is in silos. So this is why I put stuff in for example, for me, I have it in WordPress. It's like I have all of these things we just talked about are in WordPress content management software. That is the vessel that I'm holding all of this data in. For me personally, if I do courses and I have the courses in one platform and I have my CRM that's in another platform and I have live sessions, but they don't get recorded, and my shopping cart is in another one, what happens is that you're trying to pick stuff from all over the place, and it's very, very difficult to be able to do that. And the revenue depends on the manual promotion each week. There's no way to have an employee or a revenue employee and a revenue workflow that is able to track people, know what they've done, know what they've actually purchased or not purchased, unless you get into these really complex situations of connecting all the dots. And then each time you add a new tool, it creates more work for you to use the tool as opposed to looking and learning from the workflow that your AI employees are already doing. So I look at this, and every tool serves a specific layer with a clear purpose. The content is indexed and retrievable by AI agents. The sessions that you actually do, the live sessions, automatically become repurposed content. So any of these live sessions that I do, I have a workflow to add to the community for that. The business engine runs the upsells and sequences on autopilot. And finally, each new tool extends the system, or each new workflow extends the system, as opposed to trying to get one system to do 1,000 different things that maybe it wasn't set to do. So again, how about 40 minutes? I just get on these things. I booked this. I booked this session, I think 2.5 hours ago. So this is so exciting when you start thinking about this in the terms of I have an AI employee, I have an agent that I can talk to, and it's actually going to get all sorts of things done with a staff and workflows and tools. And that's possible right now. The thing is if you don't have these underlying 4 things, it just doesn't work well. So I'm working as hard as I can, and I suggest that you at least investigate it, that when you talk to Claude again next time, and I recommend Claude right now. We'll do another video on which version of Claude and how you actually create these. But if if you have these kind of pieces here and start asking Claude, just say, hey, I want to build an AI operating system for my business. Now, the courses that I have will walk you through that. But even if you don't take my courses, just go and say, hey, I want to build an AI operating system for my business. And it's going to guide you through these 6 steps that I just went through. And, it's an exciting time because when I do this, the 6 steps have always been there, but the pieces in the operating system, I use it, I learn from it, I make changes to it. And the cool thing is if you get it set up the way that I was just talking about here with these pieces, I'll just show this to you again. If you have these pieces in place, the cool part is that the work that you do in an AI operating system will help your employees and the workflows get better every single time it runs. And that is the magical part. Because if you get a good workflow that works, you're happy with it, you don't have to be there unless you want to be there, but you can have it run and it just runs. And that workflow is something that if it does run into problem or you look at something and it's not what you want, you can actually go and make improvements or ask it to improve the skill or get suggestions on how to improve the employee or improve the workflow. One of the other things that came out today with those announcements from Anthropic is they actually have it set up now where the new version, I think it's coming out in 1st of May, but they leaked it apparently today, but you have a proactive agent. And that agent will actually go and reach out to you saying, hey, we ran this, there was a problem, or we ran this and there's a better way of doing things, or we ran this and got a certain result. Why don't we try this way to get a different result? So that's kind of the kind of big picture that's there. Those 6 pieces are the key ones that you're going to have to kind of work through. And I'm going to do these ones in separate videos, but I just wanted to show you the other piece that is really exciting here. This other one at the top here is the AI org chart. And this is the one that I was kind of talking about at the start. I believe, and what I've been working with that has been working for me, and I hopefully a little bit of a mind shift here, but if you have an AI operating system for an individual, a solopreneur, someone who is wanting to run a business, my suggestion is that you create a chief orchestration officer or a single agent that you interface with and you use it to give instructions to the employee or employees that it needs in a workflow and access to the tools to be able to complete the task. And I set mine up where I have my, I call him Dean, which is the AI chief of staff. And what he does is he routes every task, knows the whole business, coordinates all 4 departments, I'm calling them departments here, from a single conversation. So if I'm right, and I didn't, and if I'm right, the head in NVIDIA, the chip people that just did NemoClaw, which is an offshoot of OpenClaw, he was the one that basically said that the programming language of AI is English. It's not some kind of fancy code, it's this verbal interaction. So what I'm betting on is that we're going to be here, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, where I just need to talk to an agent. And I want to talk to Dean. I want to have a meeting with him in the morning, or let him know, each month, these are the goals that I have, the outcomes that we have as a business. These are the things that I want to do. And Dean is going to know, I want to increase sales by 30%. I want to do this particular thing. I want to decrease revenues. We're going to be able to just talk to Dean, and Dean is going to know about my business, the systems that are in play, the customers and the community there, the content that I have, and it's going to be able to say, hey, we've got these employees. Maybe I need a new one to do something. It'll build one. It actually starts building skills now because it knows what's missing. And it's done that a couple times now with me where it wasn't able to complete a task. So it spun up an additional skill to do or conjured up an employee to actually do what it needed to do to get a task done. But I just want to have a conversation. I just want to talk to my agent and have it figure out what needs to be done. And I originally, kind of broke it in. And again, this is I have a course on Meet Your AI Team where I organize these kind of categories of employees. This piece right here of these, Dean's my chief of staff, my chief orchestration officer. I put it together where I have 4 kind of departments, separate departments that are here. Let me just see if I can do this one. Yeah, they were with this one here. So these are the 4 departments that I have: marketing manager, community manager, education manager, and sales manager. In as much as they are departments, really what I think they are categories of employees. So, marketing ones, I might want to have, YouTube strategies and scripts, newsletters, social media content, tutorials, competitor research, announcement emails, marketing campaigns. These are sort of workflows that are in the marketing category. And these workflows might have multiple skills or employees that need to work on these particular workflows. And these are the ones that I came up with because these are the workflows that I was doing before. I just want them done for me. And Dean's smart enough to know if I've got this AI operating system built up, it's smart enough to know I've got the employees for doing YouTube scripts. I have the employee for creating a YouTube title and YouTube thumbnail. I have the employee for looking at the YouTube analytics to find out which are the best performing or least performing, or what are the demographics of it. So Dean knows it has this library of skills, and it also knows that these skills can be used in context. Because of that 6 layers that I have, it knows that it can be used in context to get specific tasks done. So some of them might be marketing ones. I do community ones. So I have workflows with agents that do multiple processes in the community. I have ones for creating additional course content or learning events. And I have one that's possibly for creating new leads or upsells. But these are all workflows, and the workflows have multiple employees, and they're basically standard operating procedures for my business. And I just have to let Dean know which of these that I want to run right now. And I'm really excited here because, and I hope that you are too, is that when you have these operating procedures that you start putting together, the thing that is really cool, and this is what I've been learning in the last couple of weeks, is that if you have this set up properly, and that's what we cover in the course, you can have work in the marketing department hand off work to the community manager, which hands off work to the education department, which may hand off work to the sales department. So it's not just a workflow that is a short workflow, it are complete processes of your business. Create a course and start selling it, as an example. Use this YouTube video and create a marketing campaign. And Dean's get trained. He knows what's working. He knows what's employees here. He's done it a couple times, and he knows that if I get a course on a topic, I need to do the research. Then I need to create the course. Then I need to post the course to the community. Then I need to do the entry of the descriptions for the shopping cart. Then I know I need to be able to create an email marketing campaign. Then I also know that I'm able to do social media posts for it. I might need to schedule events. So all of these cascading or agents are available if you're working with an operating system. If you're not, it's you trying to kludge it together manually, and or there's no foundation for all of these skills and things that you build out. So I'm super, super excited by this, and I hope that you're starting to think about how can I actually build out my own AI operating system. And that's the stuff that hopefully you'll see if you start going and taking a look at things like, this is my sales part here. Yeah, I don't know how many people. We got 11 people come on. This is totally unscheduled, so I appreciate people that are coming on um, today. If this is something that you like, obviously go join the community. The link is there, and just ask me questions about the stuff that's here. That's the 6 levels. It is an operating system. It requires that you have to work, in my case, with Claude, and I recommend on the desktop. And if you're interested in setting that up, one of the things that you can do is in the courses here, trainingsites.io courses, you'll see that I have the Campus AI Blueprint, which is the one explains how all of this works. I have the one about creating your first employee, and also about meeting your team. And these are skills gated courses. So what that means is that when you, for example, do the first AI employee one, what you end up creating is this stuff at the bottom, which is the mission, the ICP, the Claude file, the offers you make, the settings or additional tools that you have. So this is that context layer. Everything that is in the bottom here, that context level at the bottom, that first level of the 6, that's the part that actually gets created in that particular course that was there. Where did I bring that one up here? Just trying to remember where I put that. I got too many tabs open again. Tabs, the story of my life. There we go. So that one is there, is your first employee. The one about the team, this one here is the one that is all about building out those departments and the workflows. So this one goes through and you can, build out the A employee, understand the org chart, which of the roles are ready. So which are the workflows or things that you're there, how to onboard the employee. So how to make sure that your employees get those workflows or understand those workflows, and then how do you actually manage it. And each of these is a skill that you work through to actually get the work done. And then we also have another course here, which is, so there's 3 that's there now. So the big picture, the employees, and the organizational chart. And there's one additional course that is in draft right now, which is the tools. And if you have these 4 pieces, you have enough for an AI operating system, and all you need to do is take the output from these and work with Claude to create a folder with some markdown files in it that does all of the work for you when you just talk to Dean. Been going an hour now. I'll tease one more thing just so you kind of see here. And when I do these things, it's sometimes it's hard because I understand that people can get kind of confused or overwhelmed with this. I get that. I learned it by spending time breaking stuff. And again, there's no right way to do it. There's your way to do it. And I did this working with Claude. It wasn't something that I took a course on and then I knew how to do it. I worked with Claude using some actual skills, and those skills helped me work with Claude. So I had Claude actually go and create the AI operating system. So that's something you need to do, is create your own AI operating system. And you need to have these pieces in place if you want to do that. And I'm afraid that if you don't do it and you're here in 3 months or 6 months from now, and people who have done it are just saying, hey, create a course or an event, they're going to be able to say that. And what's going to happen is their dean or whoever they've created as an agent is going to go, oh, great. It'll know what content has to be created, how is it going to be marketed, how are people going to pay for it, what are the social media posts that are going to get created, what's going to happen within the community, who's going to do the customer support. That's going to be taken care of for them. And if you're manually trying to figure out, should I use this tool or this tool, to me manually do it, I don't think you can keep up. And I'm really, really, really hoping that I can get this to a point where it's always going to get a little bit better. It's never going to get worse than this, and it's never going to get slower than this. So I'm positioning my entire life around agents and what's happening here on business. And the same thing is going to happen, I think, personally as well. Again, this is just me ranting a little bit. One of the things just to pay attention to is Apple. There's something coming in May that I've been kind of hearing some stuff under the radar on, and I think you're going to see something big from Apple, which has to do with having that voice first agent available on your smartphone to do all of this stuff as well. So I'm talking about being on the phone and say, hey, create a course for so and so about this topic, and it's done. We're going to be able to create personalized courses for people, or teach someone how to do this. Or I have a customer or a client that needs to train their staff. Um, get on the phone and just say, hey, look, I want this course personalized for this company, and I want it to be of this length with this kind of content, and I want it to be a certification program, and it's for this date. And we've got an AI operating system that knows the pieces that are in place, what needs to be done. It's working from your content, and it has context about who you're helping because they're in your contact records. You have a business profile for them, and this is something that's going to get delivered on the fly. So again, operating system, workflows, focus on that for the rest of the time. And if you want to find out more about this, what we'll do is, again, make sure to join the community, get in here, ask some questions. And these courses, a couple of the ones here, these ones I am charging for. And the reason that I'm charging for them is because they actually have skills built into them. And the other thing that happens here is on Mondays, we have a sprint on Mondays from noon until, this is in the classes calendar. On Monday, we have a sprint from noon until 3, where we actually go through the entire process. That's for people who have purchased those courses. So that actually goes through and creates your AI operating system live and in real time. And hopefully, hopefully you get involved in this, you take a look and you go, oh crap, this is coming. I got to keep up. AI operating system, not tools, operating system, and one person to talk to. And hopefully that'll work out for everyone. I'm guessing, I'm hoping, I don't know for sure. That's what I'm reading, learning about, and the experiences that I've had building this out over the last 2 to 3 weeks. And we'll cover that in another video where I'll show you some actually workflows and some different departments that are working, and in fact, how I set up the departments and those agent and departments and their workflows, how it actually got created directly within Claude. So thanks if you came on and saw this. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back again with more videos to help you build your own AI operating system and an education business that leverages all this cool stuff that's happening. It's James. Take care. Expect the best.